Thus, this afternoon. It's really lovely to see you all. Um, it is a momentous occasion for us in Ramco today. We wanted to share some thoughts with you with regard to what is happening in the Indian cement industry in general and what is happening in Ramco in particular. As you know, China is the world's largest producer of cement. They produce approximately 2,500 million tons per annum of cement. China has occupied the number one position for a pretty long time. For a long time, India was the fourth largest producer of cement. It is only a couple of years ago we usurped that position and gone to the position number 2. But then we still produce only 440 odd million tons as compared to 2,500 million tons from China. So in terms of size and the way we need to go, it is a pretty long way. Having said that, I just wanted to share some thoughts with you with regard to the region-wise capacity breakup. South is the largest producer of cement. We produce approximately 160 million tons of cement out of 400 and odd ton million. West is 59 and North is 93, East is 73 and Central is 57 million tons. So that makes up 440 million. But the biggest problem is coming on the right side, which is the consumption. In South, the total consumption is only approximately 105 million as against 160 million. So that means that we are talking about a capacity utilization of approximately 66% only, 66%. Now, if I had to do the breakup of this 105 million, you will notice that almost 80 million tons only is getting consumed within South and 25 million tons South is exporting to outside of South. It gets exported to the eastern market and the western market. Wherever we share the borders, it goes across the border. So in terms of consumption within South, out of 160 million, only 80 million is getting consumed in South. All India capacity utilization is approximately 68% and South is 66%. I've just given the growth or the cement consumption in different states over the last 7 years. There is a reason we picked the last 7 years. You will notice as we go along. Karnataka in the year 1819 consumed approximately 21.5 million and as against 11-12 of 13.6 million, giving a growth of approximately 59% over 7 years, which means it is approximately 8 odd percent plus. Andhra and Telangana was, it consumed about 29.6 million as against 19.4 million, which gave Andhra and Telangana a growth of 52 million. On an average, that comes to what? 7%? Kerala, 10.4 versus 7.3, giving it 42, approximately a 6% growth. Kerala growth unfortunately got hit primarily because of floods. The second consecutive year we are facing natural calamity there. But the biggest disappointment has been Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu consumption in 1819 is 18.9 million as against a consumption of 19 million in 11-12, which means that virtually Tamil Nadu has plummeted in terms of its ability to grow, and we are having huge problem there in terms of cement consumption. So total consumption in South, if you take Tamil Nadu also into account, is approximately 36% over 7 years. So approximately 5% growth in South. The biggest drag has been Tamil Nadu, of course. I don't want to get into the reasons and the details as to why Tamil Nadu is not growing, but then this is the fact I thought I'll share with you. Now, this is one part of the story. Now I come to the other part of the story, and that is the story with regard to the world per capita consumption of cement. The world average is approximately 500 kgs. If you look at United States and China, the consumption is approximately 1,000 kgs. And Europe is about 700 kgs, whereas India is 195 kgs. Okay, if you look at the per capita with the rest of the numbers given there, India looks very, very disappointing. But then India also has this advantage of a billion population, so their size lies the brighter side of things. The other good thing that I want to share is by 2030, the country's 65% of the population is expected to be below the age of 25/30. Now, this makes the prospects look very, very exciting for the simple reason that you've got a whole age group coming in this category who become most employable with a lot of passion. We are expecting people to earn, and therefore more money becomes expendable in the market, and these people require homes, etc. So, on the one side, while the consumption as on date looks pretty dismal, on the other side, I would say the future looks exciting for two reasons. One is the per capita consumption being low, and two, the 2030, it's a young group of people with dreams in their hearts and eyes, and possibly wanting to own homes. And also the fact that cement there is no alternate material available still for cement. So the prospects for the industry, we feel, appears to be very good. Now, one of the big problems that we have been having in this entire business of cement is that traditionally cement has had a baggage. Cement came from historically a control era to a partial decontrol and now total decontrol era. So cement has always been seen as a commodity. It didn't matter what brand it is, but then cement never was perceived for its quality. It was merely seen as a commodity. And this is the biggest challenge we've been facing in Ramco, whereas we feel that there is a lot more in cement than considering it merely as a commodity. And this is what we are trying to do. We are trying to change the way the cement business is being done, from telling our dealers that you're not just a cement seller, you are a solution provider in the construction industry. We are very strongly advocating, and we strongly believe that there are multiple usages of cement. Now, construction is only one part of this entire thing. Even when you talk about construction, there are different aspects of construction. There is cement for concreting, which is for the slabs. There is cement required for foundation and columns. There is cement required for walls. There is cement required for internal plaster, external plaster. Every little thing has its own nuances, has its own requirement, and has its own differences. Now, this is what we have been recognizing in Ramco, and this is the kind of change that we are trying to bring about in the cement industry. Like, if you look at cement conforms to BIS standards. So when you look at BIS standards, you have 53 grade cement, you have 43 grade cement, you have PPC, you have slag, and you have composite. So basically you will find that there are only 5 categories: 53, 43, PPC, slag, composite. Basically, and then of course you have sulfate resistant cement and rapid hardening cement and stuff like that. But so broadly it can be confined to only these. But in Ramco, what we are trying to do is, even in 53 grade cement, there are multiple uses for this 53 grade cement. Take, for example, a hollow block manufacturer. That hollow block that you use for construction, a hollow block or solid blocks that you use for construction. Now, or any precast concrete work. Now, these are users who expect a certain performance from the cement. So if I go and give them a mere 53 grade cement, it doesn't meet their performance needs. You see, what happens is they cast the block, they remove the mold, they do the curing, and they want to ship it the next day. So they need a quick strength, quick hardening cement, which stands the test in terms of no breakages when they go and unload this material. Now, that is a cement that you cannot, it's a 53 grade cement, but that cement you cannot go and use in construction sites. So construction sites need 53 grade. Some of the construction site, or there is a tall building. There is a tall building which requires a 53 grade, which may be quite different from your normal 53 grade, you know. So we supply a special 53 grade called 53 infra. It is all within BIS norms, but what we are trying to do here is to segment the market, segment the customer, identify the customer as per his use, and try to cater to his palate. It's very difficult for a cement industry to do unless the company is willing to invest in its infrastructure, because you must understand that every type of cement requires a silo. And therefore, if the company doesn't have the mind or the heart or the will to invest in these separate silos and make this distinction even at the manufacturing stage, we will not be able to cater to the requirement of the clients. Now, what is it that we are trying to do in this process? In this process, what we are trying to do is to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the pack, which is what is very important. So how do we market Ramco cement as a more desirable cement? Like, for example, supposing you were to, you need a cement for plastering. You want to plaster the wall. So you want a cement for plaster. Normally, when you go to a shop, the guy will give you a cement which is also used for concreting. Now, why do you need a cement that is meant for concreting for plaster? Because both requirements are completely different. So this is the fine differentiation that we are trying to bring about. We believe very strongly that the consumers are changing. Today, the consumer who's coming to buy cement is no longer the guy who was there 20 years ago. The age group has changed, the demography has changed, their attitude has changed, their knowledge base is very different. They come after Googling, they know very well, they're very knowledgeable. They no longer are bothered about 53 grade or 43 grade. They're very clear, this is my requirement, this is my application. Now, do you have a cement for this? So how do we change our infrastructure, our network, our dealer base, channel partners, and shift our focus from what it was earlier to what we are trying to do now? That is a big challenge. Now, in this process, recently, it has been a proud privilege to have launched a very new and revolutionary cement in the market. We launched it on the 30th of May in Tamil Nadu. That was the All India launch, which happened in Tamil Nadu. 17th of June, we launched it in Kerala. And today, 29th August 2019, exactly 21 years after we launched Supergrade on 28th August 1998, we are launching, ladies and gentlemen, Ramco Supercrete in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Rana? Ramco Supercrete has been launched. This has been in the market. We have been doing a lot of field trials for the last 18 months to 24 months, extensively in various markets, because primarily we wanted to find the compatibility of cement. See, the one thing with construction industry is that the construction practices are very different. There is no standardization in the construction industry. It's a big challenge. If you look at concreting, concrete is cement, sand, aggregates, and water. Other than cement, which comes from the organized sector, There is nothing which comes in from the organized sector. So when you talk of concrete, the site abuse could be huge. The water cement ratio could be different. The way they're mixing is different. So cement consistently needs to be delivered. Over quality has to be delivered in order to compensate for the site abuse. So this is the background from which we have come. This have been an extensively researched product. So what is very peculiar about this product? Why do we call it a revolutionary product? In cement, when you deliver a high strength cement, normally any high strength cement comes with high heat of hydration. And the moment you have a high heat of hydration, what also happens is it is prone to cracks. The moment it starts cracking, you are permitting sulfate and chloride attacks to penetrate the concrete and thereby corrode the steel inside. Once the concrete and the steel inside gets corroded, then we are talking about your construction losing its strength to stand the test of time. So its durability comes down. So by giving this product, what we are achieving is we are meeting the needs of a high strength cement. We have kept the heat of hydration low. We are committing to the customer that this is crack free. You use Ramco Supercrete, you will not get cracks. At the same time, you have the advantage of a high strength cement. Now, this is already introduced in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, as I told you, and it's catching up very fast there. The response has been fantastic, and where you feel very happy and good about the responses when you get repeat purchases. So once somebody buys Ramco Supercrete, they buy it again and again. So that is very, very heartening. And from today, Andhra and Telangana gets to receive Ramco Supercrete. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of Ramco, once again, I would like to thank you. My colleague, President Marketing, Mr. Ramakrishnan, is with me. And both he and I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
So ladies and gentlemen, just give us a few moments as we get the stage ready to take your questions. As Mr. Balaji was saying, Mr. Balaji Murthy will be joined on stage by Mr. R. Ramakrishnan, who is the President of Marketing. We have our representatives standing by with microphones, so if you have a question, please do raise your hand and we'll make sure that one is brought right to you. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, if you would please join us on stage. The gentleman in the white shirt, please go ahead, sir. Do introduce yourself.
I'm Rishi here from Hindu Business Line. What is the current demand-supply situation, sir, in the cement industry? I'm asking a generic question on the cement industry. What is the demand, current demand, given the macroeconomic conditions? What kind of demand uptake you see this year, and as against last year, and maybe 1 or 2 years of visibility in terms of overall offtake of the cement sector?
Actually, is it okay? Am I audible? Okay. See, today, if you look at the consumption growth of cement, the consumption is growing approximately in the region of about 7 to 8% at the all India level, as well as the south level. I'm talking about from April to July. August, we are yet to see the numbers. We have been trotting at about approximately, we had ahead of the market growth, so we are trotting at about approximately 10% growth. So, what happens in growth is infrastructure consumption plays a huge role in this, and it all depends, how the infrastructure is also going to get kick-started. So the current growth is primarily coming from the housing sector, not necessarily in the infrastructure sector, so far as South India is concerned. But unfortunately, Eastern India, the growth has been rather poor because they were consistently doing well the past few years, but the last few months, Eastern India has been struggling quite a bit.
And could
Sir,
you also give some idea about the company itself, what kind of capacity you have, and any plans for expansion? Generally, what is the capacity utilization or some plans going forward in terms of capital expense and probably expanding capacity?
Yeah, actually, as you would have seen, the average capacity utilization in the country is 68%, in South is 66%. Ramco, we are at about 90%, the capacity utilization. So we've been fortunate that way in terms of our ability to market our capacity. And yes, we have very exciting plans right now. Our plant in Andhra Pradesh is expanding. The third line is under construction. Hopefully, it should become on stream from 2020. The Greenfield project in Kurnool is coming on. Hopefully, that should get on stream by end of 2020. We have a grinding unit in Visakhapatnam where the capacity is being doubled, and that capacity should come on stream by the end of this year. We have a new capacity, greenfield coming up in grinding unit coming up in Odisha, and hopefully that should be ready in about next 3 or 4 months. And Kolaghat, that is in West Bengal, capacity was earlier 1 million tons. We have doubled it, and the new capacity has come already on stream about a few months ago. So it's been a very exciting journey for us. Capacity expansion is very much there, and yeah.
Sir,
Yes. Yes. Yeah, as I told you, the last one to come on stream will be Kurnool. Kurnool should come on stream by end of 2020. The plant in Andhra Pradesh, that is Jayantipuram capacity expansion, where we are adding 1 million tons of clinker. Oh, no, not 1 million, 1.5 million, should come on stream by April 2020. So last of the capacities to come on stream will be Kurnool. That will be end of 2020. Yes. It is either already, okay, majority almost 1500 crores will be Kurnool. 1500 because it's a greenfield operation, it's a complete greenfield thing. So almost 15 to 1700 crores is Kurnool.
sir, this is...
$3,430 crore capex.
Yeah,
So
Jayantipuram.
can you explain this?
Yeah, Jayantipuram will be approximately about 750 crores where we are putting line 3. Vizag grinding unit will be approximately 450 crores. Orissa grinding unit will be approximately 700 crores. And yeah, so what is the total to? Does it add up?
No.
Yeah, so that adds up, no? That adds up.
Around 4,000 crore.
Yeah, 3,000, yeah.
Sir, see, many of the government projects in Andhra Pradesh have come to standstill. Many of them have been either cancelled or deferred construction. But do you see some considerable impact on the cement sales in Andhra Pradesh particularly, sir?
What has come to standstill?
Many of the government projects.
Yeah, see, one thing we feel very confident that for any place, any state, the demand driver primarily has to be a stable government. So wherever I think we have a stable government, we are quite hopeful that demand, even if there is a slump, we are not unduly concerned. It should be temporary, and it should pick up. That is the way we see it. And so therefore, we don't see any major risk factors in either Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, or, I mean, okay, Karnataka so far the demand has been good. I do not know how it is going to be, but Karnataka for some reason has always beaten the street, so it has been consistently growing. You look at the numbers even behind me, Karnataka has always done very well. So it's been very interesting.
What is the pricing scenario, sir, like for Ramco as well as industry? Prices seems to be under pressure continuously from June end to till date. And there was some news saying that companies are artificially pushing the price by 40 to 50 rupees per ton starting from September 1st. So can you give some picture on what exactly happening? Dealers are resistant to price hike and because of the lower volume uptake. What is happening actually? Are you able to sustain this 90% capacity utilization? And where is this going? 90% is significantly high compared to other players in the industry because average is at 65 to 70%. So can you please explain on that? Pricing and capacity utilization.
Yeah, basically the capacity utilization is a function of what you are, what your brand is capable of, and what you're capable of doing in the marketplace. So Ramco has always tried to move away from the beaten path. We have always tried to be, looking at the whole thing a little more holistically. We don't want to, cement selling is not so simple. To our mind, the simplest thing to sell cement is reduce the price by 5 rupees and sell. If I reduce by 5, somebody else is ready to reduce by 10. Then I reduce 15, he reduces 20. So where is it going to lead us to? So that is why we are taking all these efforts in terms of ensuring branding, in terms of ensuring the right product for the right application, and cutting a path which is very different from the path that is tread by the rest of the people. And that is the reason our capacity utilization is also at about 90%. So far as pricing is concerned, cement has always been very sensitive to demand versus supply situation. Whenever the demand is healthy, the prices shoot up. Whenever the demand softens, the price has a tendency to come down. So it is a typical yo-yo kind of a thing. So I'm not unduly bothered because primarily you must understand, for example, Kerala virtually came to a standstill from the 28th of May till about 15 days ago. Kerala was under waters. Kerala consumes a fairly good amount of cement. Now, when I say Kerala was underwater, not only was underwater, the government said all quarries are closed. So no sand was available. They opened the quarrying only 2 weeks ago. So for the first time, cement started selling in Kerala only about 10 days ago. Now, this is a continuous process industry, so the plant is running. Now, just because Kerala market is down, we can't keep the plant closed. So the plant keeps producing cement, and therefore cement keeps going. Whichever market is there, cement has to go to that market and get sold. So that is when prices in neighboring markets come down. Right? For example, Andhra, you rightly said the government projects has stalled and the consumption has substantially come down, and therefore, will the plant stop? No. So it has to find its outlet somewhere. So prices, yes, it keeps yo-yoing. We are not unduly worried about the price. That is where a company like Ramco has the advantage in terms of our technology, our ability to keep our costs down, and on the one side, an ability to get a better price for our brand in the marketplace. So a combination of factors work for us. Yeah, see, I think the price hike is likely to happen. I do not know. Everybody, will want to do the wait and watch game. Somebody has to build the cat. It is that kind of a thing. So it is not as if on 1st September the prices will just shoot up. It is not. It is a highly fragmented industry. Cement industry. If you see, it is a highly fragmented industry. You see. The capacity in Andhra is 105 million tons. From how many players? It's a huge number of players in Andhra Pradesh, which is the largest limestone reserve in the country today. So it all depends on how the situation is and whether the market is conducive of taking a price increase and things like that.
Sir, if you could use a microphone, we
What
can't
is the
hear you.
current total installed capacity of the company? And with this capital expenditure, where will this head to? And by what time frame?
We are approximately 12.5 million tons as on now, and we are hoping to be at 20 million by 2020.
And sir, in terms of revenues also, if you can give some idea, sir, where do you see your revenues heading from now on?
From 12.5 million, we go to. Currently, we are at about 5,000 crores, 5,250. We should be around 7,500.
7,500 crores by 2021, FY 2021. Yeah.
So all these funds are tied up, sir. Any plan to raise funds? All these funds for capital expenditure, have they been tied up, or you have any plans to raise funds?
It's primarily through internal accruals and borrowings. This has been one of the great track records Ramco has had. Other than at the time in the 1960s when our founder went to the share market and raised a share capital of 5 lakhs, Ramco has not gone to the share market at all. So this has been a very, very a lovely story that we like to talk about. We feel very proud about it, the fact that we have not taxed the shareholder again. So we have been very efficient in our fiscal management. So our internal accruals and growth has what has been fueling our financial needs. And we have not been overly greedy. We have been very judicious about our growth. We've not just grown for the sake of growing. We've always been very, very conscious of the fact that we needed qualitative growth. So where is it that we can market? Do you think we can market at the right place, at the right market, right price, etc., before we take a decision? So far our gamble has paid off. It is paying off. And yeah.
So you are also talking about almost 1.5 times.
Sorry, I need a mic. I can't hear you.
Sir, your revenues, you are talking about almost 50% increase in less than 2 years, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So this will come
Because
through.
your capacity is shooting up from 12.5 million to 20 million now. The capacity itself is growing. Now all the new capacities that I am talking about is all knocking at the door. So bulk of the capacity will come this year and next year. So once the capacities are through, we'll be out there in the market to try and sell the cement. We do, sir. We primarily, earlier we used to export to a lot of countries. How would you like to take that question?
We export to a few countries. Sri Lanka is we got a branch there. So it's a small percentage only. We do about hardly 5% of the volume will go on exports. Very small percentage only. We get competition from Pakistan cement, which is going at a very throwaway price to Sri Lanka and Maldives and other places. So
we are the only brand of cement. We are the largest single brand of cement which is being sold in our own brand name in Sri Lanka. What happens is a lot of companies in India do job work for other brands in Sri Lanka, but we don't do that. We don't do any job work for another brand in Sri Lanka. We believe in taking our own brand and marketing it there. We've opened a branch office in Sri Lanka, and we are possibly the single largest selling brand. We were operating extensively in Myanmar, and unfortunately Myanmar market is no longer viable, primarily because of the government policies and stuff. Maldives, we are the largest seller. Am I right? Maldives, we are the largest selling brand of cement in Maldives.
Sir, there are ample indications about country's economy heading for a slowdown now. So don't you see the cement sector getting impacted with the slowdown?
I didn't get your question.
So there is a talk of slowdown in the country now, economic slowdown now. Don't you see cement sector getting affected?
Slowdown of cement industry?
No, entire economy, even...
Economy. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Every day you read in the papers, but then, you see, it's very funny. Let me tell you this. I've been extensively, I'm the kind of a guy who likes to go to the market. I don't sit in my air-conditioned room. All of us, we keep going to the market and meeting the customers in the grassroots level. We meet the contractors. Now, what is very interesting is that people who are constructing houses below 2,000 square feet are constructing houses. Your major apartments, etc., may not be happening. I agree. But the middle class and lower middle class, like for example, government has got this scheme for 450 square feet to 650 square feet, they're giving housing benefit for the poor. That is happening. That construction is happening. Similarly, 1,000, 1,500 square feet houses, independent houses in the villages, in the rural markets, that is happening. So it is not as if construction has completely dried up, but this work is going on. In the meantime, we are hoping with all the slew of reforms that are being announced, something will happen, and then we are all going to get
infra spend is continuing as it is. We don't see anything of a let up in infra spend. Number two, as far as the schemes of the government schemes, housing schemes are going in full swing. Especially Prime Minister's PMA scheme is doing very well in many of the southern states. So, number two, actually, housing as such, housing segment is fairly insulated. Its steady demand is being seen.
Realty sector across the country is not growing at that level. Real estate sector, but you are saying the housing sector is on traction, but realty sector is not growing across the country, apart barring the Hyderabad, Bangalore and Gurgaon.
And if you see the parameters, you see the construction sector as such is not doing as badly as the automotive or other sectors, segments. So as such, it's construction being a major contributor to GDP, by and large is doing, 6% growth is not bad at all. It's in line with the GDP growth, and so it tends to go in line with the GDP growth. So if you see with a time lag, whatever the GDP growth percentage is there, it will be almost our construction sector growth will also be in line with that.
Just want to understand this better. What would be the share of government projects, be it infra and housing, in the overall cement constructions? Or how much do they contribute percentage-wise or otherwise?
See, as an industry, it could be as high as 40%. Government will be a huge consumer. Now, it also depends on, perhaps this is where Ramco scores a little better than the competition, because our dependence on government sector is low. So, we always taken a lot of effort in terms of building our brand. So, our customers are more of consumers. So, that could also be one of the reasons why our performance may be relatively better.
Are you looking at any buyouts now that the cement industry is under stress? Do you see some potential to acquire and grow your business?
We have primarily focused on greenfield ventures. That's what we've been concentrating on. And these are things which one can't predict the way we would go. There is no hard and fast rule. We can't place our hand on our chest and say we will never do a buyout or whatever. But then this is an organization with very high operating efficiency, and therefore we wouldn't want to do anything that would spoil this. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Come again?
In the south, I think there are two companies. One is India Cements and the second is yours, which were never targeted by any MNC.
India Cement?
Not been targeted by any MNC. He says there are two companies in the south, India Cements and Ramco. So he said, how come neither of you have been targeted by any big MNCs?
Targeted.
Targeted, yes.
Why we have not
Targeted.
acquired an MNC? Or why an MNC has not acquired us? Is that what you're saying? Why an MNC has not acquired us? Yeah, I guess we must have our own strengths, and therefore it may be very difficult for somebody to acquire.
All right, super. Once again, thank you.